here that we actually just ordered more of. It needs to stay in this secondary container when it's not in use. And if you need to refill isoflurane, it goes right here. You just unscrew this, pour it in there, and you have 2 lines here, and you need the liquid level to be between those 2 lines, and that's how you know that it's good to function. Okay. When you're using it, you turn on one of these gas tanks right here. That's empty because somebody left it on all night. And then you turn this knob until the ball goes up to this 8. And I have an arrow on both settings where it should be. So the isoflurane is on setting 2. The oxygen goes up to setting 8. And the ball should be sitting right there. And that's enough gas to anesthetize your mice in this box. Now, some people say that when you have both tubes going, you need to double this, the amount of flow to go to both tubes. My mice stay unconscious when I leave it at 8, so that's fine. But if you want to turn up the flow of volume when you're using both tubes, that's also fine. The most important part of this is when you're done, you turn it off. You turn it off here, you turn this off, and you turn this off, okay? If you leave this on, it'll drain the whole tank of oxygen for the lab. If you leave this open, it'll drain all the isoflurane for the lab, and then people will come in the next day and not be able to do their experiments. So if you want to use this, that's up to you, but you need to be able to turn it off when you're done. That's like the most important part. Yeah. And if you need help turning off, then ask somebody, because you can't just let it keep running. And that's this. We've also had some problems lately with the surgery log, or the volume logs. I don't really use ketamine that much, so I would think that would want to explain this to you, but you need to fill out a log every time you withdraw some volume from the tube. You need to document that, and every time you do a surgery, you need to document how much you're treating each mouse with this stuff. There was some vials that were made, and there was no logs to fill out recently, so people need to keep up with it. So
I think usually we have 3 tubes of the buprenorphine. When we usually make 3 same time. So I would like to suggest you just put 1 tube, I think, in with the ketamine, and the other one, I think, is you keep it in this. This is stock, and then you will never confuse it. Okay, so just 1 ketamine, 1 buprenorphine in this box, and the other is stock here. And when you finish this one, you can take out 1. Okay, so keep it.
So this one is outside.
It's put here. Yeah.
Still here.
Yeah, it's still put here.
So besides putting things back where you got them and turning the gas off, you just need to also clean up after yourself. That box shouldn't be full of mouse poo and sawdust when you're done. You should clean up after yourself, okay?
And please, after you do surgery, return all your instrument back to where you are, and clean out all these little bits of the bedding from the cage and wipe down the surface with acetone.
Okay, another problem is this is schedule log. I think post the schedule log. And this, when you finish, I think you need to punch the hole and put it inside, not just to put it here, because no one will help you to put in. Okay, yeah.
Where's the hole puncher? There used to be one in this room.
Bo has, and
I think
Polo has.
So.
Yeah, the one I have, I bought it. If you want to use it, you can get it. Yeah.
And we have a vacuum to help you clean the area if you want.
Or pay for Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And I think, question, this is full. I think that you can call. I don't know which number, but you can check, and then call them to pick this up. I think, yeah, because it's full. This is a waste. It's just the waste.
Okay. Or you can call.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Who's going next? Take us around. I'll go next.
Dishwashing? I mean, no matter, like a...
Yeah, dishwashing is
We can do this.
Yeah, maybe here. We want to do this.
I can do it. So,
The
Maybe.
chemical waste. I can do it.
okay.
So this is the wax station. And so you want to, you can heat your wax on these hot plates out here, but this is, you need to pay attention because if you overheat the wax, you'll actually change the structure of the wax, so you don't want to get it too hot if you're going to preheat it before you put it into the oven. This is the oven, and so the temperature is not to be changed. That's why this is on here, so don't change the temperature. People will be very angry if you change the temperature. So you'll either heat your wax up there, or you have it in here. We already have some containers. Let me get it close.
And if you are heating on the hot plate, never set it over 3. Just set it on exactly 3. That gives you 60 Celsius in temperature. That's the temperature you want your wax to be.
But I think one heat plate also broken.
Right.
And, maybe
This
even,
one is not very accurate now.
Yeah,
For this
not-
one,
Yeah, I
can
think
do
one
three.
has some problem.
Yeah.
And it's also important to clean up your mess after. Don't just leave your wax here if you're not using this. Maybe it's being used today, but don't just leave your wax here wastefully. It's also very important not to use any of the beakers or the glassware with the wax. We have these containers that are designated. They're glass containers that are designated for wax. But if you use a beaker, you'll ruin the beaker. So this is we have a series of containers that are already heated. We have the xylene paraffin. We have paraffin 3, paraffin 2, and paraffin 1. So we have actually the whole series here. So you don't need to keep making new wax every time. You can just use these. So you start in a 50-50 paraffin xylene mix, and then you move your samples up sequentially through paraffin 3. So you shouldn't start in 3 and then go to 2 because we're trying to keep the xylene out of these. And so if you start mixing them the other direction, we'll accumulate xylene in the wrong direction. And then if you wanted to do a final one, you could prepare your own wax and have a paraffin 4 if you think that there might be some xylene in these containers. But we ask that you go through all of these before you go to the 4th paraffin. These all are to remain in this oven. So the oven also has a vacuum function that's here, so you need to close this, and you close this petcock all the way, and you open this one, and it will build pressure. And then to close it, you just turn off the vacuum here, and you open this here, and all of the air will rush in, and so you'll have that. And then be careful with this. Don't pull on this. To wait till the vacuum is completely positive, or there's no negative pressure in there before you try to open, because sometimes people pulling on this actually have ripped the door open in the past. So that's the kind of overview of the wax station. The main thing, though, like this side says here, is that there's no paraffin in the glassware, so you need to not do that. It's also important to clean up after yourself. Put your wax waste when you're done in these wax waste containers, and not to just leave a huge mess after. If you make a large mess, then you should actually replace this mat. If you get wax all over everything, then you should replace it. And when you're pouring out, sometimes we pour them out into different containers. Make sure you dispose of those containers and don't just leave everything here, leaving a mess.
and also you need to clean up the scale if you use it.
Okay, explain how to use the scale. You want me to explain it? Okay. So these are the scales. So you can tell they're very this area is actually very dirty right now. So this should be wiped down. Whoever used this last, probably making EDTA, didn't wipe this down. So you need a wet sponge, and you should wipe the instrument. You should actually clean it before you use it too. That helps to keep it clean. And then you want to make sure that it's balanced. There's a little air bubble here at the top. Mm-hmm. So right now it's not quite set, so we can move this around until we get it right there. And that's actually we need to have it that way. It's important to have it that way so that if it's not balanced, you're not going to get an accurate reading. And you can see there's more. This is also some sort of mess here too that somebody didn't clean up. So that's really important. This is the other scale, so we turn this on by holding that button. Maybe not. It's not. Okay, so. And we have this makeup brush here. And that's for kind of sweeping out the area. You can see that it's also very dirty, so whoever's in charge of cleaning this on Friday should do a good job of cleaning it up. So we can take, like, this is a piece of way paper here, and place it on the scale. Close both sides to make sure that no air is disrupting the reading, and then we can press the 0 button. And so it will 0, and then you can open it up, add whatever reagent you're using or whatever powder you need, and then get the accurate way, and the volume, the mass, sorry, and then that's what you. And then when this is done, you can 0 it again. You're done working, and it will 0 out.
Then turn it off.
Yeah, sure, yeah, turn it off. And you can turn this one off too. So, but the key thing with these scales is you have to clean up your mess after. That's probably the biggest problem that we have, is that people don't clean up after themselves. And that's clear by the mess that's left.